Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington, where you will hear from the movers, shakers, and changemakers that are moving Greater Burlington forward. Here is your host, Stephen Brody.
Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington. Today we're going to be talking about all things real estate, and it's great to have with us today Deb Fowler with Century 21 Property Professionals. Deb is broker-owner for Century 21 Property Professionals, and it's a pleasure to have her in to talk to us and share her knowledge and experience and all things that's going on. So, Deb, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Steve. It's good to be here.
So why don't we start with real estate in general? Obviously, you could have chosen any profession to be involved with, but somehow real estate is what got you going. And not sure, you'll obviously would love to share how long you've been doing it, but what was it about real estate that you wanted to do?
So to begin the story, I guess, would be to say that I came in as the office manager at Century 21 in 1996. So I had just moved to Burlington, and I worked with a gentleman whose mother-in-law was moving from one brokerage to another, and they hired me as the office manager. So that's how it began.
Yeah.
And so then transition 5 years later. So then I became half owner. John Salvador is my business partner and has been since 2001.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. I came here as the office manager and got a license and kept going from there.
Was that sort of a prerequisite to be an office manager, that you had to get your realtor license, or was that something that came afterwards?
It was definitely something that came afterwards because I didn't have my sights set on that at all. I was human resources and banking was my background. And so a friend of mine encouraged me to go ahead and get a license and try my hand at doing that as well. So I studied and took the course and got licensed.
Right. And so how does that work then? Once you get licensed and you're at an agency, how do you go from there? Are you handed such a thing as a book of business, or do you have to go and find the listings? How does it work?
Well, I'll start from the beginning of how it starts. As you have a 60-hour pre-license requisite. That is the initial start. And the laws have changed some since I was licensed back then.
Yeah.
But you have a 60-hour pre-license, and that's where you get most of your book knowledge and education that way. You do the 60-hour pre-license, and then you can set for your exam. You do your background, fingerprint, and then you have an additional 36 hours of education that you have to complete before you're licensed.
Yep.
And then you take the exam. And then once you have the exam, you apply for your license. You have to apply with a broker, and many new agents interview with several to find the best fit for them. And then once you have your license, you join the board of realtors. There's a board that you have to go through and pay your annual dues, state, national dues, in order to get started. And then that's where the real learning begins. That's the kind of hands-on of real estate. There's not necessarily a book of business. You have to build that. And I would say that it does take some time. It's not a typically instant gratification type of position where you just come in and somebody hands you business or clients.
Right.
You have to build that.
Do you remember how you got your first listings?
I think John was kind enough to give me a lead, and I remember it was in Oakville. And my first paycheck, I was so excited. I put it in a savings account, and it was meager because it wasn't much of a house. But I was so excited to have that first paycheck with commission where taxes weren't taken out of it. Which now kind of looking back, you think maybe we should have put that savings account aside for state taxes and federal taxes. But
when you took your license exam, did you find out the same day whether you passed, or did you have to wait?
It is you find out immediately, and you're sitting in a room, and there may be several other people taking exams in that same room. It was in Cedar Rapids. And you push the button to say, are you finished? And you say yes. And then, are you sure you're finished? And it's like three times.
Sure,
and of course, you're having heart palpitations thinking, oh my gosh, did I pass? And then you're second guessing all of your answers. And then when it says you've passed, then of course you're jubilant at that point. So I still remember having anxiety at that point, thinking, "Oh gosh, I don't want to take it again. I only want to take it once." It's about a 3-hour test. So,
were there a lot of people in the room taking it at the same time?
I recall that there were at least a couple more, but that's all I remember because you're kind of in your own station.
Because I'm thinking to myself, you want to be cognizant of others in the event that they don't pass, right? So maybe you have to keep a straight face.
Well, you're not seeing them necessarily.
You're like in
in
a
your own
cubicle?
little cubicle. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're not allowed to have. I think you can have a pen and a piece of paper, but nothing else in the room with you. You'd leave your purse in a locker and so on. So
because I can imagine there would be people, you finish and you pass, woo-woo!
Yeah.
And then someone else is lamenting, as they're struggling and taking it on the other side.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So obviously, the first listing and the first sale has to be very special.
It's exciting.
And did you think at that point, hey, I can do this?
I think I recall feeling that way, like, oh gosh, yeah, that wasn't so bad. I mean, and you learn as you go. And of course, there's all these other agents in the office that you're, connecting with and listening to. And so you're getting some sort of training just by being there and listening to what's happening and how they deal with the public and those sorts of things. So, yeah, you do. You learn by doing and learn by listening.
How does word of mouth happen in the biz? Because I would imagine once you start and you start selling and somehow the word's got to get out that, hey, call Deb Fowler. She's pretty good.
Yeah, if you do a good job for someone, they're likely to remember you. And again, that is time. It takes time to build that because, maybe in your first year you sell 5 houses, and then the next year, hopefully you just keep building on that.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's taken a long time, but I value very much that repeat business because it is a large part of the business that I do now is dealing with people who I've dealt with before.
Yeah. When you started, I mean, obviously things are different than they are now for you. When you started, did you have an idea? Did you have to map out like, I have to sell so many in order to get by, in order to make this worthwhile?
I'm a goal setter, so I mean, more so now maybe than I was then because I maybe didn't have the understanding when I started that I do now. So now I have goals that at the end of every year and the beginning of every year, I set my goals like where do I want to be at the end of the year, transactional wise, and how many clients do I need in order to do that, in order to make that happen, and how will I gauge what my success is in that, and there's typically something new that I can either take away or add to, like what are the things that are working for you and what are the things that are not. Some of that is marketing, some of it, advertising and where to spend those dollars makes a huge difference because of course the media world has changed and how you spend your marketing dollars and where that's best allocated. So I'm very prepared at the beginning of each year to go down that path and how things are going to work for me.
Were you learning some of those things as an office manager, or did you learn those things afterwards when you were immersed in the role?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I have that I always have a vision, of course, of where I want to be in my life, and that plays into that. And then, of course, having the goals to go along with that is just good organization. As far as that goes. So it all kind of works hand in hand. And eventually, we had where the office was setting a goal and then each agent would set their goals for the year so that those would all align so that everybody knew what their path was through the year.
Yeah. So you were a broker. How long were you a broker then before you became a broker owner?
Okay. So let's see. You have to be a salesperson for 2 years in order to sit for your broker exam. And that's another 72 hours, I think, of education that you have to get in order to be a broker after your initial 2 years as a salesperson. So it was 2001. Yes, 2001, because it was I was in Iowa City taking a broker course when 9/11 happened.
Okay.
So it's very memorable to me. I was in a classroom, and the teacher, I believe it was Marie Spodek, had a son in New York, and so we were all very, concerned about the situation and not knowing what was going to happen. So in my mind, it's very vivid that when that happened.
Yeah.
So 2001 is when I got my broker's license.
And then from there, what makes you feel like, okay, I want to make the leap now and be an owner rather than just stay as a broker?
John's business partner was Zola Starkey, and Zola and John had started Century 21 together, and Zola and Ron, her husband, were taking a different direction. I think Ron was going to retire. So it was kind of funny because Zola came out where my desk was and said, Ron's going to retire. We're going to sell our shares of the company to you. And John comes out of his office and said, no, I'm going to sell her my soon-to-be ex-wife shares.
They're both coming at
So
you.
I was kind of caught. I was really caught by surprise by both of them. But obviously, I took advantage of that, and it was I think 2002 when I actually became half owner of Century 21.
Why do you think they did that, Deb? What did they see in you that both of them came and wanted to sell the business to you?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm still asking the question.
Because when John and Zola hired me for the position as office manager, John will say to this day that he didn't think I was a good fit. So I laugh about that. So thank you, Zola, for that.
Yeah.
So we can credit her with me being there because I don't know that John would have hired me. But to be clear about that, I had it was like late at night when they interviewed me. They called me in, and Zola was building a house at the time, and I did my interview on a roll of carpet in her living room. So I'd just gotten off the back of a motorcycle, and I have some wild hair to begin with, so we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
That was first interview.
What's entailed with being an owner of a real estate agency? What do you have? What's your responsibilities?
So with each agency in Iowa, you have a managing broker.
Okay.
And John is the managing broker. Excuse me. So with that, you're responsible for all the agents. Like the agents are licensed and they have all of that done, but the managing broker takes care of if there's ever any kind of an issue, then the managing broker is the one who steps forward and is responsible for everyone in the office. As well as, John and I are just always training our agents and try to give them the most education, all the things that help them become better agents. We push them to get more education, more designations, such as, ABR, CRS, GRI. All of those are a designation that you can achieve if you want to take those extra steps.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many agents do you have now?
I think there excuse me. We have 17 agents.
You've got 17 in there? I've been in that office. My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're never there all at the same time. Maybe that's what it is.
At Tuesday, we have a sales meeting on Tuesday. So typically on Tuesdays, if you come in, everybody's in there on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And most our agents are more full-time than maybe some places that have a lot more part-time agents. Just that's kind of one of our rules is we don't really hire part-time agents. We do full-time agents who can always be there for the clients and take care of whatever comes up.
With technology, the way that it's gone, the way that it's evolved over the years, is there so much of a need to be in the office more so than doing stuff remotely and being out in the field instead? You
can certainly work more from home than you ever could before. I do have a few agents who work more from home than they do at the office, but we still use paper. We're not a digital yet. I know a lot of brokerages are that way. We haven't converted to that. I'm still old school with paper and pencil and file and those types of things. But yeah, I think that there is, like desk phones aren't used near as often because everyone has a cell phone. Those are just kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah.
My younger agents, when I was training them, and I'd say facsimile, they said, "What's a facsimile?"
Oh, really?
Which cracks me up. Then I say, "How old am I?" Yeah, so
I've seen a fax machine in a museum.
Right. Yeah, so a lot has changed with technology. I still think there's the impact of being in the office is always a good place to. If you're there and somebody happens to walk in, then there's an opportunity to represent someone. And again, just having the lingo around the office and listening to agents and brokers who have been in the business a long time, I think you can learn a lot from that experience.
Yeah.
Just being in the know of everything that's going on.
Let me give you a moment to boast about your employer. So obviously there's all these other real estate agencies that are around. You're with Century 21. Mm-hmm. What do you think separates and makes Century 21 stand out among others?
I think dedication to the client, dedication to always being above board and doing the right thing and putting the client first. I mean, that's foremost in this business is to have the client be represented, and feel heard. Yeah. In the transaction. We don't ever want anybody to get lost and feel like they don't have a voice in the transaction and that we're just going through the motions with them. And so I think that's important to keep that in the forefront.
And most of your sales territory, is it Burlington or does it go beyond?
John and I are both licensed in Iowa and Illinois, and I think we have a total of 5 agents who are licensed dually in Iowa and Illinois. So Des Moines, Henry, Lee, Louisa, Van Buren, Hancock, Henderson, that's, kind of our territory. I mean, we'll go beyond that. You're licensed in the state, so you could go anywhere, but I like to be geographically competent and stay within the areas that I know.
Yeah. Is there such a thing as developing a niche in the industry? Like, are you known for a particular type of property to sell versus others, or does that exist? I would think maybe that would exist.
And I think there is a niche where some people are commercial, for instance, and I think that we're probably more residential than commercial, but we have some agents who do enjoy doing the commercial side of things.
Yeah.
And the multifamily. You could be, property manager if that were your calling. It's not mine, but that is, specific to that. But I think we just try to do a little bit of everything and make sure that we're covered in all of those areas broadly.
Yeah. I think I've seen your listing mostly for homes. So you're comfortable with?
Yeah, but we do. I mean, we'll do commercial, we'll do residential, multifamily, farm, land, lots, all of it.
Have you personally done?
Sure. Yeah, I think I've done a little bit of everything. Commercial, multifamily. I've never sold a farm, but certainly feel like I could be of assistance for that.
Yeah. And, not sure exactly when this is going to air, but we're recording this in February. How's the market? How's the housing market in this area?
Well, we have a shortage of inventory, which, as you know, has been an ongoing thing. And I feel like almost since I started, there's been numerous housing studies and housing committees through the chamber and other avenues that have studied how we can have better housing in the area.
Yeah.
And so, currently our inventory is very low, an average of about 42 days on the market for, residential properties. And some, obviously with the range of values, that's some are much quicker.
Yeah.
And, a nice property in a nice area will certainly sell if priced well.
Yeah.
So, it's properties are definitely selling.
Is there such a thing where amongst realtors or board of realtors or whatever, there's a demand that you can put forth and say, hey, we know the market and what this area needs is more apartments. What this area needs is more single family. What this area needs is more townhouses. Because you're in the biz, and so
in every range, in every price range, I think we can use more properties.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is an overabundance in any of them. So to say that we could use this area, yes, absolutely. We could use in all areas. We could use more new construction. I don't know where the land would be. I think we're a little landlocked in Des Moines County. I mean, that becomes an issue with the river and going north, east, and west. You run into some. But yeah, I think that we could certainly use more housing that is move-in ready, and maybe some rehabilitation to some older homes and some older neighborhoods could be beneficial.
Yeah, we've heard about oftentimes where it would be nice if there was more executive type housing. As you're bringing in somebody new to an area, there may be an executive at the hospital or at the college or something like that. Maybe some furnished. Okay, do those exist here that you know of in town, or is that something that's lacking?
If you're talking about like a furnished home that's used for a rental, or
a furnished home, a furnished apartment, something.
I think there are some. I mean, I think the Airbnbs have filled a little bit of gap because you can do a longer term rental, a longer term engagement there.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit, and they're furnished, and so you just do a longer term.
Yeah.
But as far as executive homes, yes, we could use more because typically that is a smaller portion of what we do because we just don't have the inventory to. So if we had more, of course, I think we would definitely sell them.
Yeah, sure. Let me transition and ask you this question, Deb. I mean, obviously you've been doing real estate for quite some time, and you could stick with real estate, and yet you have taken it upon yourself to volunteer and be involved in community things. You've, you're a member of the ambassadors, and we love having you as an ambassador. You were on the annual dinner planning committee and had a great time, being involved with that. Why do that? Why put yourself out there and volunteer in these areas?
Well, this community supports me, so I have to in turn support the community back. I mean, there's a great involvement with all of the people that you're working with as ambassadors and in the annual dinner and that. So it's just fun to do that and meet new people as well. I mean, you get to know about your community, know what's going on, and then you get to assist in doing these fun ribbon cuttings and seeing what new businesses are coming in, what's happening in their business, what great things they're achieving and celebrating, and it's wonderful to be involved in that in your own community.
Yeah. Are there other things that you have been involved with? I would imagine the answer has to be yes.
Yeah, I used to deliver meals for Southeast Iowa. Now it's, I can't remember what they're called now, but Meals on Wheels basically, but I think that's the hospital one. And so on Friday, I would go and deliver the meals to people who couldn't get out of their homes. And up until COVID, I did that for 4 or 5 years and really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of rewarding to have somebody to, hey, here's your lunch and hope you enjoy it and have a couple minutes to talk to them and hope they have a nice day and so on. And most of them didn't leave their house much, so it was just kind of nice to help somebody else out.
Right. Well, and I appreciate you saying that, that community's been good to you, so you want to give back to the community. Because, so many people, they're immersed in their job and then they want to just finish and go home. And yet, you take that opportunity to extend yourself and to do that because you think that that's important. You mentioned before about a motorcycle.
Okay, that was a long time ago.
Okay, so you're not doing that anymore?
I'm not.
I was hoping that there was a story there that's like on the weekends I get on my Harley and take off somewhere.
No, I do not. That is not the story.
Okay. So in lieu of motorcycling, then what do you do to kind of decompress and relax?
So I love movies, and I think that 2 hours, I typically turn my phone off, and I'm not sneaking a peek at it. So I have 2 hours of kind of solitude. So I love going to movies. I like to run. I do a couple of 5Ks, sometimes 3 or 4. From March through about October.
Yeah.
I know Shamrock Shuffle's coming up, and I'm debating because I haven't really trained very hard, but I do like to go for a good run.
Yeah.
I like to travel a little bit. We have a condo down at Mark Twain Lake, and it's fun to just go down there and decompress a little bit. So, yeah.
That's not the same
my free time.
That's not the same location where there's the caves, is it?
It's just outside of Hannibal. It's about 30 minutes from Hannibal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've not been to the caves, but I've gone to the Makokata caves.
Oh, sure.
But I've not been there. Is that
Mark Twain? Yeah, you should.
Okay.
Have you read the Mark Twain novels?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
not all.
You should go.
Not all. I mean, a boy from California to hear about the mighty Mississippi and Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, and then to finally move out here and be around it. My son went to Hannibal LaGrange University. So
seriously, and you did go to the cave?
I did not go to the caves yet. No.
Oh, you must.
Shame on me.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I?
See.
Is there much you got to get on your?
No, it's not. It's not one of those where you're, except for when they turn out all of the lights and it's pitch dark in there. It's a little scary to me, but you don't go through too many that are very narrow passages where you have to get down on your knees and crawl through.
Yeah, because I know Makokata caves. There, you have to do that, and there are some people that come dressed for that. They wear their clothes specifically to get dirty, and they've got the like the spelunker lights thing, on, whatever that you put on their forehead and that they're going through. It's funny to watch, but they really take that seriously.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, that's good. And then, so there isn't, and maybe you touched upon this already. So in real estate, there really isn't such a thing as a typical day. Because again, you can come in there in the morning thinking that I've got this that I'm going to work on. And then you might get a phone call or like you say, somebody's going to knock on your door and then.
Yeah. So a lot of times you have some schedule. I go in, I typically am in the office between 8 and 8:30 each day. And I'm still, again, old-fashioned with the paper calendar. So I sync my 2 calendars, my Google Calendar and my paper calendar, to make sure that I'm on track and don't forget anything.
Yeah.
So then any paperwork from the weekend, like if you have a file for a listing or a sale that's come in over the weekend, you're processing that. You're getting ready for your week, making appointments for the week. And, back when we did open houses, that was something that we had to have done by Tuesday morning. So you had to have that all lined up so that you could, send it to press at the newspaper. So those days are gone. But yeah, it's not always typical. And like I said, sometimes you'll get a phone call, hey, I need to list my property, or I need to see this property right away, or we're coming into town this weekend. Can you arrange for, these properties to be shown? And, there's pre-approvals and just all sorts of things that come up in the course of a workday that, you the minute you think you're not going to be busy, then you find yourself really busy.
Yeah. How are you able to get along with other realtors? Like when there's another realtor, I guess, that's in the picture, with a transaction. I'm not sure exactly what I'm thinking about, but like oftentimes, like there's an open house, right? And somebody will go and they'll drop off their card, and then when there's going to be a sale, obviously you're going to be working with the other. Yeah,
it's not like we are working together. It's we're not enemies. We're working together in the same transaction. They just maybe represent a different party than we do.
Sure.
So if we represent a buyer and they represent the seller, then we just both are doing our jobs to make sure that everything goes smooth to closing.
Yeah.
Getting inspections ordered, getting the appraisal ordered, making sure the paperwork's all in line, and so just getting those things in a timely manner back and forth. Yeah, I think that we all work in the same industry, and so we're working together and not separately.
Yeah. Is the commission percentage still the same? You keep always hearing like 6% or 3%.
Well, there's no set commission rate.
Okay.
It is negotiable. Commission rates are negotiable, and again, there's a big lawsuit right now with antitrust, so we have to be really careful about saying that there's not a set commission.
Okay.
Our office charges X percent. Another office can charge what they deem is their percentage. So
yeah.
Yes.
And so then you got to work through those details and split it, and again, that goes to the goals.
Mm-hmm.
I would think it would go towards the goals. It's like, I want to be able to sell these many, properties. In the industry, I would imagine your agency has been recognized for lack of a better word, for excellence.
Yes.
Customer service,
Yes.
whatever. Want to brag?
I'm not very good at that, Steve. But yes, we have been. Corporate recognizes a certain number of sales through the year, and of course, we have excelled in our 27 plus years. We have a trophy case full of awards for different things: per person productivity. We have what's called a Centurion Award when you reach a certain level.
Uh-huh.
I do have my own little shelf. We have the Quality Service Survey that, each time you have a transaction, corporate sends out a survey to say, how did we do? Was our agent good? This and this and this. And then, of course, they can make any comments that they want to. They can do a testimonial if they want. And, those can be used again for your website as far as having a Google review and those sorts of things. So, yes, we have had some recognition through the years. And for being in Southeast Iowa, we are one of the smaller Century 21s, as far as in Iowa. And I think our ranking is number 4 in Iowa for Century 21s. Thank you.
And when do these get awarded? I would imagine there's a gathering that takes place.
Well, John and I do our own awards banquet for our agents each year.
Isn't that nice?
Corporate used to have one in Council Bluffs that we would go to every year, and then they just kind of rearranged how they do things. And so now John and I just decided that it is important to recognize those agents for their hard work. And so every year we pick the venue, and usually we have some educational and or comic relief for our awards banquet, and then we give them their whatever awards each agent has won, and usually a little swag bag with some fun stuff in it for them. So yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, coming up March 5th.
Okay, well, we are just about out of time. So for anybody who does not know where you are and they would like to get a hold of you, where are you located, and what's your contact info?
So Century 21 is located at 1313 North Roosevelt, Burlington, Iowa. And my cell number is 319-759-1672.
And you don't want anyone calling you after hours. So you got typical work hours?
No, if you listen to my voicemail, you'll see it. I think my hours are something like 8 to 8 or 9, and then weekends 9 to 3 and some craziness. Yeah, I don't have off hours. I'll answer my phone if somebody calls me.
Very good. Well, Deb, thank you so much for being with us and sharing all things real estate and yourself. We really appreciate it and wish you continued success. And again, thank you for your volunteerism and your partnership with the partnership.
You're quite welcome, Steve. Thank you for inviting me today.
We thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast, and give us a call at the Greater Burlington Partnership if you have any suggestions on future guests. Until then, we'll see you next time on All Things Greater Burlington.
You have been listening to All Things Greater Burlington with Stephen Brody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to catch all new episodes. To learn more about all things Greater Burlington, visit greaterburlington.com/ATGB.